Hello and welcome everyone, my name's Capcan and today we're gonna be talking about stagnation and is Path of Exile stagnating? So we're gonna be looking at Steam database and Steam charts just in general, what was with online numbers of Path of Exile, with live player numbers in Path of Exile for in the recent years, in the recent months, and as you can see here, 1 month is currently it is the lowest point of Necropolis League, and it's only a start. It's not even the start of the third month. In 5 days, it's gonna be a start of a third month, and we're already at 15,000 peak concurrent players, with currently being 11,000. It doesn't really matter. It is quite low, and it wasn't, as you can see here, it was quite a this narrow drop off. And if you were to compare it to Affliction, which was one of the best retention leagues, even though the start of the league was not as high and as steep as Necropolis, it retained way more people, and basically the point that Path of Exile currently is in was not even the case on the third month, even the middle of the third month for the Affliction, because Affliction was just in general way more relaxed. It was from the perspective of regular players, it was perceived way better. And now what I want to talk is, of course, the general numbers of the game. In my recent video, I've bring it up that Path of Exile was stagnating, and I wanted to back it up with numbers. I wanted to back it up with statistics. Now, so Path of Exile on Steam is not representative of all player numbers that are engaging with the game, but in percentage, you can use this data quite easily. There are a lot of other people who play the game, but percentage of them that shrinks or stays should be the same, and it is a relevant data that can say you a lot about the game and about the current status of the game. Okay, so first point, the game is stagnating, and it's not really growing that much. And even if it grows maybe for 10, 20, 30% from time to time, and then it may drop lower, and it retains the same amount, somewhat the same amount of people on its lowest points, which means that the most dedicated player base is of the the same number, and the peak numbers are mostly similar. Now let's maybe look at the last 6 years, because it's going to be enough for me to talk in 6 years. Because I was bringing up Betrayal, and Betrayal I'm not so sure, so Metamorph, Betrayal, there it is. So in Betrayal, we've had 123,000 people on its peak. Nowadays we do have 180,000, which in the course of 6 years is a very good sign that your game is still relevant, and even throughout 6 years, you only manage to bring even more people to the game, which indicates that the game quality itself is high. People want to replay it. The game is replayable, and it can sustain quite a healthy, large amount of people playing it. It is still one of the most popular games on Steam, top sellers, even though it's a free-to-play game. But just in general, it is one of the most highly positive reviewed games, at least in ARPG genre, and it is a good game. But what I was talking about was not being a good game. It was about the game that is growing. And if you were look to all these numbers, to all these spikes from Betrayal, that was here, that was pretty big, blow up of popularity of the game. It didn't really change in those years, so for 2 to 3 years it wasn't really changing that much. Then after Ritual, Ultimatum, we see here a bit of spikes, but it still feels kind of the same with the last year, just to be honest, pulling consistently higher numbers with Crucible especially. It was quite big. And everything seems quite on the same page. These numbers of last 4 leagues can be related to Diablo 4 release. So Diablo 4 release was in June or July. Yeah, I guess June of the last year. And whenever Crucible was starting, beta for Diablo 4 was already quite close, and people were playing it, so there were way more eyes from outside the genre on the games on the games that are ARPG genre, and people played some Diablo 4 beta. Then they're like, okay, I love ARPGs, I want to try out more. They've gone into PoE after then it was like last Epoch boom, and Diablo 4 itself still has somewhat of a player base, but just in general, these 4 bigger spikes are from people who were not they are probably from the people who were not familiar with ARPG genre itself, and they were brought in here by Diablo 4. That's why they are a bit better, a bit bigger, but still, Path of Exile managing to capitalize on those people is a thumbs up for the game. The game is a high quality product. I'm not undermining it, but what we see here is that it is, even throughout the 6 years of changes to the game, of adding new and more content, the game managed to retain its player base and to retain a healthy population of people who already love the game. If you were to talk in forums, if you were to talk in any places where you can communicate with the player base, you will probably hear that most of players that you will talk to are they probably played the game for 2, 3, 4, 6 years. And this here shows only that the game can really well capitalize on the people who are already playing the game, who are already familiar with the game, but it cannot really go beyond that and get some outsiders attention and try to bring them in, because there's nothing like, okay, so there's like Conquerors of the Atlas expansion, and the number goes 3 times that it was before, because there was like big marketing campaign, and people from outside the Path of Exile and ARPG circle, they see that there is this new expansion for the game that they've never tried. The game looks fun, and they go and try it, and that's when, after that marketing spike, there's like 3 times more people, and then it drops to the same numbers. This would have shown that if you are putting marketing money into the game, it can work, and new people are willing to at least try out the game. These statistics show you that, however, GGG, to be honest, they're not really trying to market Path of Exile 1 to new players. And that has its own reasons, because they know their audience, and they know the outsider audience to an extent too, and they know that people see Path of Exile as this big, scary, convoluted place, which it is, and that's why Path of Exile 2 exists, really. And these graphs, they show you all the data that you need, that no matter if you're trying or not, even the developers of the game themselves, they know that they are not really capable of bringing more eyes to their first game, because there is, as I've said before, there is a stigma on it, and the stigma is, to be honest, well deserved. It is a very highly over-designed, pretty expensive game that you need to, expensive not in terms of the price, but in terms of extensive. That's extensive game that you need to learn a lot about, and some parts of the gameplay for that game look very dated, and they look very old, convoluted, bloated, and sometimes they are just like very epileptic. So yeah, this statistics, at least in my opinion, more or less confirms my opinion about how the game is structured and how they are trying to break this structure with the second game. And if you wanted to look at, for example, okay, let's go for 3 years because you can see statistics more detailed this way. Okay, so video is not too long for now. You can see that lowest point of the, if maybe we were talking about like some hype, some marketing, yeah, that maybe not every single league is equal in the marketing that was put into it, and that is true. And maybe not every single league is as innovative and as like rich in terms of content and expansion in the game. That can be true as well. But you need to see this. The lowest point, people who still play the game at the 3rd month of the league, they are quite representative of your core player base. And what we see here throughout 3 years, and the game changed quite heavily in those years, and that's from Expedition League too. So 28,000 in one of the worst leagues in terms of retention, 19,000 players in Scourge, 21,000 players in Siege of the Atlas, which was a big expansion, 25,000 Sentinel League, 22,000 in Lake of Kalandra, 20,000, 20,000, 27,000, 38, and 49, with 49 being probably after that's the Necropolis, which is still not ended, but 38, because of Affliction, was very successful in retaining its player base. It was a very rewarding, very interesting and unique kind of league. But as you can see here, 16,000, still even Affliction dropped, but it is because it's way longer, because they are taking all the extra months. And with Necropolis, we already see the downing of the trend, and you need to look at it like from 6 years perspective. 24,000, 30,000, 25,000, 27,000, same old numbers, which means that the core player base never really grew that much either. And what can you say about that? Well, probably that there's not that many new players in the game, or there is just enough new players in the game to replenish all the old players that have left, which still makes the game not growing. It's just retaining its popularity. It's not about the quality of the game. It's about how the game is really not. It's really not that great looking to the outsiders, and this will sometimes in the future, if GGG was not to create PoE2 and not to completely rework the game and do all the other systems, this will mean the game dying out bit by bit whenever you cannot really pump more repeatable content into it, or maybe staying the same, but for how long? 5-7 years? Maybe it would have been kind of the same, but it will not grow, and it will not have fresh new audiences that are not as cluttered in their minds about how the game should be, because the longer the lifetime of PoE1 goes, the more extreme views on balancing, the more extreme views on a development team, their failures or their successes the player base has, because these people are heavily invested with their money in terms of all the cosmetics, with their time in terms of all the thousands of hours that they've put into the game. These people are more and more heavily invested into this game, and they make it not a game, they make it a part of their life. And this that's kind of like a parasocial relationship, but just with a game, just with something not really being a person, but people do make it a part of their life, and that's why they grow this kind of unhealthy relationship with it. So the restart, and at least maybe a deviation from this player base, trying to find a new one, is a very healthy way for them to do things, and I really appreciate it and I really approve it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you're having a good time. Bye.